So Ashford.com or Jomashop. What's up, guys? It's your boy Rich here, back at it again. And the crazy increase in owning a brand new luxury watch has caused an increase in pre-owned watches and have given birth to countless online gray market stores. So I thought we'd take a look at two of the most popular and most respected stores, Ashford.com and Jomashop, and look at some of the advantages and disadvantages of each one. Let's start with Jomashop. Jomashop has a much greater inventory. Their selection is massive. They seem to carry every possible brand from fashion watches all the way up to the higher end brands, including a Lange. Whereas Ashford's inventory is somewhat limited compared to Jomashop, though they do carry a pretty nice selection. And if we're interested in the higher end brands, Ashford tops off with Jackie Droz, Blancpain, and Zenith. I'll take any of those watches. Now let's talk about another important factor, a huge important factor actually, and that's customer service. I think they both have excellent customer service, but I think the advantage falls again in favor of Ashford. I've had experience dealing with both, and my experience with Ashford was that I had to return one of the watches because there was a problem with it. And they made it simple. Yes, they offered to either return it or exchange the watch, but that was it, which is normal. Whereas I think Jomashop is a little more aggressive, not to the point where it irritated me and I wanted to hang up the phone with them, but the difference was obvious in them trying to push us toward another purchase rather than a flat-out return. The salesperson that was actually helping me, or the customer service person on Ashford, was really thorough and on top of it. In fact, she followed up with me on her day off, so I thought that was a clear advantage to Ashford. One of the other categories I guess we should put under customer services, while coincidentally both Ashford and Jomashop are headquartered in New York, Jomashop does not have a showroom, whereas Ashford does. By appointment, we can take a look at one of the watches we want to look at Ashford. So I think that is a really huge plus, especially if we're in the New York area or in other Asian countries as well. Ashford has showrooms and warehouses in New York and in other Asian countries. A disadvantage with Jomashop is they charge an 8% restocking fee on any watch that is priced over $4,000. So that means if we bought a $5,000 watch and we wanted to return it because we just didn't like it, well, that would cost us $400. 8% of $5,000 is $400 in a restocking fee. And this is somewhat archaic. I know that Best Buy used to do this with some of their electronic equipment, and kind of sort of understand it with electronic equipment, but not so understanding with watches, because part of the policy of returning the watches is it can't be worn. So there isn't any reason to charge this kind of restocking fee. Ashford does not charge this restocking fee. The same policy was done, the watch can't be worn, which is fair, but to charge the restocking fee, that is a bit of a turnoff to me. However, there is no restocking fee if we decide to either exchange the watch for an equal or greater value. But if we decide to exchange the $5,000 watch for a $3,000 watch, we still have to pay the 8% restocking fee on the difference, which in this case would be $2,000, which would be $160 in a restocking fee if we decide to exchange the more expensive watch for a lesser priced watch. Now let's talk about the all-important price comparison, though it's not always necessarily apples and apples because Jomashop's inventory is much greater. But when we do find the exact same model, the advantage often falls in favor of Ashford. I've seen the prices to be much lower on Ashford. So for example, last year I was looking at the Glasuta Square Chronograph and it was just under $4,000, $3,995 to be exact, whereas on Jomashop it was almost $7,000. One of the advantages of Jomashop is that oftentimes they carry the most current up-to-date models. In the case of that Glasuta, it was apples and apples, and that fell largely in favor of Ashford's. But another contributing factor of why Jomashop's prices might be a little higher is because they are also a provider to some of the other biggest stores, including Jet.com and Sears. Yup, Sears. If we notice on Sears' website, they actually carry Tudor, which is a little surprising. And if we delve further, we'll see in the fine print that they indicate the watch is provided by Jomashop. And which, because Jomashop and these other stores have to share in the commission, that does affect their prices from being as low as possible. It is also a testament, though, to Jomashop that a store like Sears trusts after their due diligence that the products that Jomashop does carry are totally legitimate. It's also kind of odd that Sears would be carrying Tudor, but it could also be that they are trying to test the waters, and rather than investing heavily in an inventory, especially if they can't move their watches, it might be wiser to go this way. And if it does prove to be successful for Sears, perhaps one day they might decide to want to carry Tudor and other luxury brands. Though I don't think the decision will solely be up to Sears, because I can't see Tudor agreeing to distribute their watches to Sears. One of the things Ashford does is what I call revolving prices, because their prices are not always the same. They change constantly for the exact same model. So for example, when I was looking at my Jean Richard that I bought a little over a year ago, I've seen it priced at different points. At one point it was $1,400, another it was $1,100, $800, and a little over $1,000, before I finally seen it at the lowest price, which was $699, which is the price I ended up buying it. But I was buying that watch for a while, and when I did finally decide to pull the trigger on that watch, it was no longer priced at $699. So I called Ashford and I asked him, hey, I saw this watch at this price at $699. Is there anything you can do about it, because it's no longer at this price? And Ashford was great about honoring that price, because they keep a list of all the prices that they promote that watch at. So I was able to get it for $699, even though I believe it was priced exactly at $1,014 on the day that I wanted to purchase it. Both Jomashop and Ashford now carry pre-owned watches, and in this category, the advantage falls in favor of Jomashop. They both carry pre-owned watches such as Rolex, Breguet, Patek Philippe, and the Rolexes that I've seen actually benefit the prices on Jomashop better in this case. And lastly, a big advantage to Jomashop is they provide a service where we can sell our watch to them or trade it in for a new watch. And while this is not a new phenomenon, other online stores such as Watchbox and Turnout also provide this service. It is a nice service for us to have. It's sort of a one-stop shop. So instead of us having to try to sell our watch elsewhere and then waiting to sell that watch before we can use those funds towards a new watch, we can sort of do that in one move. So while there doesn't seem to be a clear winner here, and that's because sometimes it's apples and apples and sometimes it's apples and oranges, Jomashop clearly has its advantages, such as its inventory and its service where we can trade our watches with them. Ashford has its advantages, such as a physical showroom or the lowest prices on a watch. And for most of us, that's all we care about, is getting the lowest price on a watch. So is this a cop-out at declaring either Ashford or Jomashop for the win? No, I don't think so, because they both offer unique advantages, and above all, they are both legitimate online watch stores. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you the next time. One of the benefits with Jomashop is their You guys saw that I was doing fine on the first take. Hello? So is this a matter of us just flipping a coin? So what about customer service? So